Hey everyone. Today we are going to read an article about a young gentleman who has no arms and he actually competes in a triathlon. Now, if you're in person, we talked about what a triathlon was. What it actually is, if those of you who don't know, is it's an event where you have three different parts of it. You run a certain amount, you bike a certain amount, and you swim a certain amount. Now, for me in general, like thinking about doing that, and I have two arms, I have two legs, is challenging. I was actually a coach for a triathlon club at my old school that I was at, but I've never actually competed in a full one. So, thinking about that, using my background knowledge and thinking about a young gentleman right here who has no arms who did it, like that's just like mind blowing. So, I was really interested in this article before I chose it, which is why I chose it. And I actually really liked the message that it gave. So, we're going to dissect this article today to kind of practice some of our skills. So the first thing you should always do when looking at an article or what you're about to read is preview it. See how long it is, see kind of if there's any pictures, things like that. So we're just going to read the title and I'm going to walk through this just like you should when you do it on your own. So meet the teen born without arms who competed in the Chicago Triathlon. So this is in Chicago, so not too far from here. I'm also going to note when this was written. This was written in September of last year. So it is about a year old, but that's really not that old in the grand scheme of things. So it's kind of relatable still to this day. He's only 1 year older than when he was when this was written. All right, so I'm going to scroll down and see there's a few pages here. Nothing too crazy, and there's not even that much on the last page. So let's go back. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to annotate as I go so that you can see how you should annotate when you are doing your own assignment later this week. All right, so the caption on the picture says, Tim Bannon, 14, who was born without arms, prepares for swimming practice on August 20th, 2019 at Ohio Street Beach in Chicago, Illinois, while his mom, Linda Bannon, looks on. Tim competed in the Lifetime Tri Chicago race during the Chicago Triathlon 4 days later. So you can see it says his mom on the left, and she actually has no arms either. So hopefully the article touches on that a little bit, or I could be asking myself a question. I could be like, let's see if I can find, does all of his family not have arms? Maybe it's the question that you are interested in, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. This is in Chicago, Illinois, once again, so we already know that. My size down a little bit. For someone who says that he has no aspirations of being a star athlete, Hillside teen Tim Bannon is trying a lot of sports. Now, maybe you're like, what in the world is an aspiration? Well, that may be a word gap for you. An aspiration is just something that you aspire to do, something that you want to do when you get older. So maybe you're like, I aspire to be a doctor, I aspire to be a comedian, something like that. So he's saying he has no aspirations to be a star athlete. Well, maybe that is a contrast and contradiction because you're like, well, if he doesn't want to be an athlete, why is he competing in a triathlon? So you should be asking yourself that. If he doesn't want to be an athlete, why is he competing in a triathlon? And it kind of went off the page there, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, moving on. Tim was born without arms and became a viral phenomenon thanks to a workout video that showed him overcoming the odds and his fears to jump onto a box. So maybe you're asking yourself, like, what's it talking about here? What video? I'm not really sure. I'm actually going to show you the video here in a second. But this is a main idea, a key detail. So you want to underline that. And I'll show you the video now. This is the video that made his story go viral. So you can see he's frustrated. He didn't get it at first. So she just said, for all those people who told you can't, try it right now, right here. And you can tell he wants to give up. But he didn't. Like, it just puts me in the feelings. I just want to cry. I don't know about you, but just watching that video, I'm like, holy cow. If anyone has ever done a box jump, it's hard enough with arms. I can't imagine not being able to balance without them. So that's how he's an inspiration. Now, the 14-year-old incoming freshman at Proviso West participated in the Chicago Triathlon and plans to try out for the Panthers football team as a kicker. So football is kind of one of those sports we're about to talk about. 93-pound, 14-year-old, 5'7" kid, young man, is going to try out for kicker on the football team. He said, all my friends were laughing at me and like, you? So it's kind of like they're thinking, like, how could you, out of anybody, be a kicker on a football team? I'm not worried about getting tackled. They said, occasionally if kickers do get hit, that's considered a foul. I don't care if I get sacked. I want to be a kicker. So you can see there's like perseverance. He really wants to do this. So maybe we'll see if he puts his mind to it, if it'll make a difference. Okay, so we're going to move on down here a little bit. Second page. Before football, though, Tim's focus was running 1.24 miles, swimming 200 meters, and biking 4.4 miles in the Lifetime Kids Tri-Chicago race during the Chicago Triathlon. His mother, Linda Bannon, was also born without arms because of a Holt-Oram syndrome and also competed in the triathlon. So that kind of answers one of the questions we had earlier. So now we kind of know that we know the race title. We know the mom also competed. So I'm going to underline that as an important detail. Maybe make a note on the side. Mom also competed or competes. Tim started building strength through Duquesne-based New Ability, the disability program where he made the viral jump box video. And since July, he had been training for the triathlon with Dare to Try, a Chicago-based community group that helps people with physical and sight impairments participate in sports. Okay, so it's not like he just randomly chose to do this. He was actually working with and training with this group to try and build up those skills. Why does it keep doing that? I think it's a great idea, Dare to Try co-founder Kara Sorota said of Tim's sports pursuits. It's great when kids with disabilities and their efforts get recognized for that and are able to participate with able-bodied peers. I think that there are benefits all around for visibility and expectations and seeing what people with disabilities are capable of doing and seeing them as athletes or triathletes in our case. So I'm just going to go ahead and make one of those infinity symbols here. That kind of looks like one. Because I'm going to make a connection. I'm going to say, when I was a coach in a triathlon club, there was an athlete who was blind, and he was told several times he wasn't going to be able to compete because he was a liability. And he's like, okay, I can literally beat half the people who are participating, but okay. So we fought it. We fought against one of the races, and eventually we went to the top of it, the founder, and they let him run. But it just makes me connect because I was a coach of a triathlon club. So I connect to this article because I was a triathlon. Tim said he's glad people have drawn inspiration from his video and his story, but frankly and unapologetically, he's not all that into athletics. Once again, that's contrast and contradiction. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How can he not be really into athletics, but he's doing all this? I'm not an athletic guy, he said. I don't like to lift weights per se. I don't like the gym part of athletics. I'm more of a get on the field, get on the court kind of person, even though you're supposed to train for stuff so you don't get hurt. You don't hurt yourself very bad. So he just wants to play. He doesn't want to like have to go through all of the training and things like that. And I feel like a lot of us are like, just let me play, just let me play. I don't want to have to practice. I'm actually right here. I actually have never gone back to the New Ability Gym since that video. I don't want to be in athletics, but now that that video's gone viral, I kind of have to, he said, and he laughed. Sports can be as much a source of frustration as it is for fun for Tim and his mother. I want you to think about this. Why do you think that this would be? Why do you think it would be such a hard thing for them? It's fun, but it's also a frustration. So think to yourself on that one. They both thought that they would take to soccer, for example, but each had bad experiences. Linda said when she was a kid, other players were very aggressive with her, and she wondered if some were trying to discourage her from playing. That makes me sad. Okay, so I might put like a little frowny face in there, and then I could explain why I'm sad. I'm not interested in getting kicked in the shins for no reason and getting hurt, she said. It didn't appeal to me. The way they played, this just wasn't fun. There are going to be plenty of people out there that will be very accommodating and very kind, almost to a fault. And then you'll have to have the people who look at you and say, so you think you're special? Let me show you how special you're not. It's just the nature of the beast. So basically what she's saying right there, that people either are super nice and accommodating, almost to the point where it's like obnoxious, overly nice, or on the other side, they're like, you're not special. Just because you have a disability does not mean that you're any different than anyone else. Kind of hurts. Tim said soccer is not my favorite sport to play outside. I'll play it on like a video game console or watch it on TV, but I'm not about to go out there. Contact, about to get kicked in the shin, about to get kicked in the knee, about to get kicked in the... I ain't going to go there. Make no mistake, though, while Linda doesn't want anyone to hurt her son on the field, she never wanted him to shy away from play. She remembered how her mother would caution their children, be careful with the baby. He's not a baby. He's 6, she would reply. One time, I had a mom give me a really dirty look because I said, it's okay, you can knock him around a little. He needs to learn how to manage himself with the other kids being a little rough. Why do you think somebody would say, like, give her a weird look or say something if she just was like, it's okay, he can be knocked around? I think probably because people aren't used to parents being like, you know what, they can fall down, bruise their knee, they'll get right back up. Especially because he has no arms. But if he's going to be babied his whole life, he'll never understand or know what it's like to get knocked down. So I like the mom's outlook on life. So I might just put a little note in the side. I like how the mom reacted to the lady who gave her a... And she looked at me as though I was the worst mother in the world, saying he needs to get knocked around a little, but how else is he going to learn if he doesn't have that experience? Just like riding a bike. You're probably going to fall, maybe scrape a knee, skin an elbow, but like if you never do that, if you never fall, you'll never know how to get back up or how to change so that doesn't happen the next time. In November, Tim and his parents all began working with Dare to Try co-founders Dan, Tun, and Sirota. Sirota said Tim was shy at first, but came out of his shell as he built up his skills. The video of the box jump had gone viral, so I think he had some more confidence, Sirota said. He's one of the second season's athletes and older athletes at our camp this year, and he really assimilated into a leadership role, recognizing he was able to help influence these younger kids. So I'm going to do a few annotations here. There's some kind of big words in there. So I'm actually going to underline this because we have someone talking. So this is actually a quoted word. So on the side, I'm going to put a QW. Quoted word there, we have the founder who's talking. And then we also talk about how he was assimilated into his leadership role. And then he kind of helped some of the younger kids. Assimilated means he took on this role. So if you were in a group project in the classroom, if you assimilate to the group, you take on certain roles, you take on certain responsibilities, which I think is super, super awesome for him. Tim is aware of the physical pitfalls of a triathlon, such as tripping during his run and not being able to brace himself. Tuck and roll, that's my plan, he said. So there's another quoted word. I think this is important because because actually I talk about this in the classroom. I'm like, okay, what would happen if you were to trip when you're running? If I trip when I'm running, I can hold myself, catch myself with my hands, but he can't do that. But his thought process is, well, I'll just tuck and roll. Okay, that makes sense. He considers biking his strength, but swimming, I do not like swimming, he said. I like the water. I just straight up don't like doing work in the water. Okay, so this is me making a connection. I'm like, I'm the same way. I could stay afloat if I had to, but I'm not really that good of a swimmer. I never took swimming lessons, but I'm definitely making a connection there. I love summer. I enjoy relaxing in the water, but do not prefer to swim around. There's my connection. Remember, when you make a symbol, an annotation, you have to make words with it so that we know what connection you're making and what you're trying to say. Sorota Sem said, Tim is very capable at each phase of the triathlon. Tim uses a recumbent foot pedal tricycle, which he kind of steers with his core. She said, while swimming, he achieves buoyancy similarly to how people use a dead man's flow. So I'm thinking like on this tricycle, he's like using his core like this. Maybe that's what's helping him propel himself forward along with his legs. And then the dead man's flow, it's kind of like this when you're swimming. Your body is like laying straight with your face up, or you could do face down. And he's probably propelling himself that way as well. And he doesn't use a wetsuit. He just his swim trunks and goggles. Sorota said people like Tim and Linda and our other athletes doing extraordinary feats like doing the triathlon, there are many, many able-bodied people who aren't doing triathlons. And it's not just, oh, this is a disabled person doing this. It's like, wow, if you're doing this, what's my excuse? Why am I not living a healthy life as well? So that part I feel like is a main detail there. It really kind of stuck out to me. So if he's able to do this, why am I not doing? What's my excuse? It's really helping inspire people to get active and throw away their excuses. For Tim, it's a simpler goal, to just live normally and be one of the guys. Case in point, his mother said, that's always been his thing. When we try to offer him adaptive equipment. Eventually, he wants to graduate from a 3-wheel bike to 2 wheels. He'll be receptive to it with a caveat of, but I want what they have over there. I know I need this because I know this is what's going to make it possible for me to do it, but I want what everyone else has, and I don't want the special stuff. Tim joked that if he can make the football team, he'll have some new 200-pound friend who won't let anyone mess with their teammate. He already has at least one big-name friend in football, and that is Bears defensive back Duke Shelley, whom he met in June when Bears rookies visited Shriners Hospital for Children. So that's kind of cool. He met a Bears fan. You know, I don't really care for the Bears, but I think it's kind of cool that he met a Bears player. So I'm actually just going to circle this whole thing because that's kind of cool. I'm going to save time, but I would put a note in the margin as well. That was my partner for the day, Tim said. He's the coolest guy. He's great. Surprisingly enough, I have his number. I've been texting him lately. Surprisingly, he's not that busy, and he's responding to most of my stuff. He makes time for me. So I feel like that's pretty cool that he got to basically talk through some of his things and talk to a professional football player. What do you think this article is mainly about? That's the last thing I want you to take away from this video. in this article. What is the purpose of this article?